Welcome to RIoT Startup Spotlight, where innovation meets inspiration. I'm Jen Morgan.
And I'm Stella Turner.
And in this series, we dive into the dynamic world of entrepreneurship, shining a light on the visionaries and disruptors who are shaping the future. Today, we bring you an exclusive interview with Rachael, founder and CEO of Elroi. Hi, Rachael. To begin, can you tell us a little bit about your company?
Yep. Elroi is a data platform. We allow consumers to lease their data to companies, and then we allow companies to build ethical data models off of that data.
Very cool. And just kind of backing up, based on your kind of previous experiences, what would you say influenced your role today? Tell us about your background and kind of how you got to where you are with Elroi now.
Yep. So I am a privacy attorney and technology attorney. So I went to North Carolina Central, and after law school, I started in big insurance, so financial services. And when I went there, I started with compliance for data privacy, specifically the California Consumer Privacy Act. And so I helped build an orchestration system to manage privacy compliance for the organization and their underlying family of companies. And as part of that process, I really found that the consumer was still missing, though we were in compliance technically with the privacy regulations. As this space continued to grow, I was very interested in how we were protecting consumers' constitutional ability to own their data, as well as how the intent of the regulation was for consumers to have their own rights. So that's where this came from.
Interesting. Like in a little bit more detail around that, like what really inspired you to start your own company around this topic?
Yeah, so when I looked at the space, so just a little bit more information, when I was in law school, I was really focused on writing about specifically owning one's persona. So before NFTs or like people really having ownership online. And when I tried to make some strategies in big organizations, it didn't necessarily align with the strategies of the organization. So very focused on tactical and strategic compliance. And for me, I thought, well, I've built this for big companies, and I think I can build this for consumers. And so the market seemed at the time, and it still supports, that consumers want control over their data. And so I was trying to solve a need that I also wanted. Like I wanted to know how I could control my data, and saw a trend that people needed data and that was ethically sourced.
Yeah, thank you for that. Definitely very relevant to where we are, just kind of in this digital and kind of data economy. So, but yeah, would love to hear a little bit more on your startup journey and process to kind of getting this company going. What have been some kind of big challenges you've encountered in this process, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so technically I'm a non-technical founder. I've learned through mistake, trial and error. So it definitely was how I built the company, where I started with high level what I thought I needed, and made a lot of money pitfalls, technology pitfalls, but really knew that we needed to be focused on security and having the right development team to build out the product. So I leveraged a lot of people in the industry I came from. So a lot of people from big businesses, these big mammoth companies, came with me to start building this company, all seeming to be very interested in solving this problem for consumers. And then I really utilized the startup space, again, because I am a first-time founder, not well integrated into the tech environment. Like my parents don't come from tech, automotive and insurance, but very different upbringing from startups. So really went to a lot of the events, like first-time founder events, like early pitches of ideas, and it's really kind of grew out what I was trying to build, finding what the next direction or how I iterated on the product, also giving me a really good network to create the right mentors. And so I've really leveraged a lot of startup ecosystems to create the right mentors to point me in directions. Because I honestly, when I came in, I had no idea what I was doing. So it was very helpful being so integrated and being so close knit. Specifically in North Carolina, lots of the ecosystems crossed over a lot, so that it's really easy to get pointed from direction to direction what I needed to do.
That leads beautifully into our next question. Do you have any mentors or role models who have inspired you along the way?
Yeah, so both. So I found that lots of people give me lots of books to read. So I've read a lot of books like, Lean Startup and different things. But what has inspired me the most are the founders who are maybe 2 steps ahead of me. So they remember immediately the hardships, like not having any money, how to get your first sales, like everything that's relevant to me right now. But they are at the next level, right? They're doing $2 million of business and just being really inspirational. So I have people like that in my life that I meet with. I was in the Black Founders Fund at Exchange at American Underground. So they did a really good job partnering me with mentors who are in ed tech or in tech that was closely related, but steps ahead of me. And then I have mentors who have successfully exited companies. And so they're, frolicking in their lives. So it's like, you see the other side of it and what you can get to, or they've built big companies and are very much like IPO'd and can talk about the pitfalls they made from like a legal perspective. On the other people who I've seen that I don't have direct connection to, I really look for women founders. I'm a sole founder, so I created all these different, I think, risk points for my business. Just to be honest, I'm a sole founder, non-technical, Black woman, all the things that could be in an affinity group I belong to. And so I typically also try to look for or read articles about women or people who are in a similar situation as me.
Hey, without the challenge, there's no change.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of based off of what you've learned so far and in this space, if you were to be kind of a mentor to someone else, what advice would you want to put out there to other aspiring entrepreneurs or future startup founders based on kind of your journey and lessons that you've learned so far?
Yeah, so one that I think is controversial because I am a sole founder and I know the push for having a co-founder. If I was to mentor someone, I would make sure they really understand this, not just de-risking you to be to have a co-founder. It's also the emotional strain that being a sole founder is, even if things are bad. So really dealing with that emotional part of just, this is a selfish journey. It's a lonely journey. You're going to have ups and downs and you're going to be the only one and your team doesn't care. They care enough to the extent that they can, but you are the one responsible in pushing the boat forward. Outside of that, really focusing, I know in a lot of the cohorts I've been in, there's a big focus on business development. And so really trying to understand the archetype of the person. I don't come from the world of business development. It's I'm a lawyer. I'm usually a cost center. I have very practical terms when I'm talking about things. I have a hard time selling the story. So really honing in on that skill and how to balance that. And third would be how to take rejection. This is a game of rejection and how much you can take. And so really talking about what to listen for when you get critical or constructive feedback, and when to say, okay, that's just the person isn't aligned with what you're doing, and don't take it personally, because a lot of times it's our baby, so we take it personally. So those would be the 3 things I'd be really focused on, talking to a mentee about.
I think those are really great. Good points to think about, especially as they kind of all intertwine with each other, and along the way having a partner there to help with that constructive feedback and with that rejection and all of that, but also at the same time understanding that you can do it by yourself and go it alone. So yeah, really, really insightful answers along the way. That's all the questions that we have. Thank you so very much for sharing your story with us. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thanks, Rachel.